What's up, you guys? Honcho here. Today I'm going to talk about the Matrix and how it's relevant to us all and how everybody's living in the Matrix. So, starting off, if you don't know what the Matrix is, it's a movie that came out in 1999, I believe, or 2000, somewhere around that time. But anyways, so that movie was really popular for its time. Back then, I didn't think much of it because I was a child when I watched it, and it was really entertaining. I'll give it that. But also, seeing the connections other people made with the movie to our lives, it started to wake me up more and felt like the producer, whoever produced it, was trying to get us to think in a different way. But anyway, so the movie, it's about this guy. He's a regular guy just living life as a normal person, average person, you can say. And one day there's a man that comes to him. He tells him that the life he is living isn't the real reality, and he offers him two pills. One is a pill to stay in that false reality that he's living, or to find the truth and go down that rabbit hole. But after seeing that, he wouldn't have a choice of going back. So that guy, instead of just going back to living how he was living before, I guess curiosity got a hold of him. He decided to go down the rabbit hole and found out that there's a lot more going on. And pretty much the life he was living, it was all smoke and mirrors. I guess you can describe it like that. But there's a lot of connections that you can make with the movie to our lives. And many people talk about other people living in the Matrix, and I totally agree with that. One example is we're all like Neo from the movie, just living our lives. At least before, we were just living our lives, not just thinking everything's okay, everything's gravy, everybody's living their lives, and everything's okay in the world. And I talked about that in the previous video. But the reality is, everything, if you look outside of us, there's a lot of shit that's going bad and has been going bad since we've been born. And it's a part of history, you can say. It's kind of like the story about Buddha, how he grows up in a palace and he's rich and he thinks everybody else is living a good life. But when he goes outside his palace, he realizes how people are actually suffering and they're going poor. So he decides to go on his own adventure. That's pretty much, we're living in that type of what can you call it, matrix. He was living in a matrix too, you can call it, because he didn't know what was outside the his reality. He didn't know the actual truth. And that's how many people are today. They choose to ignore the wrong that's going on, the sinister stuff going on behind the scenes. That's the matrix. And many people might have a different definition of the matrix, but let me give you my definition. My definition of the matrix is when someone is living in their own world, in their own bubble, and they think everything that they're being told is okay, and they accept it without looking outside and drawing connections, and they're accepting pretty much everything they're being told without researching, and they're not content with it, but they're accepting the fact of how everything is without realizing the actual madness that's going on behind the scenes. They're not looking behind the curtains, you can say. And I know many people like that, and it's pretty sad to see that. But what can you do? But some people they'll say what the matrix is our brain just interpreting electrical signals. So they're pretty much saying that the objects we are touching, seeing, smelling, feeling, they're not really there. We're just getting electrical signals. But I'm not gonna go down that path because that shit is too confusing for me. Not confusing, but I don't like thinking of it like that because I feel as if everything that we see is really here. But that's a whole different discussion. And so, talking about the Matrix, I see many people around me not giving a shit. They're just worried about living the good life. I guess you could call it the American dream, which isn't really real. A lot of people falling into that trap. But this year, I'm pretty happy to say many people are waking up and realizing that there's actually wrong going on, and th- things that they have been told have turned out to be lies. So, yeah, guys, I just want to say wake up, see what everything is really for. Don't just accept shit and just believe it. And many people think we're here, we're living, we're living around good people, but the people that are in charge, they're not really doing right. For example, the taxes we thought we were paying, they're not really coming back into our pockets. They're going everywhere but here. There's probably a small portion actually coming back for people's goods, and many people are waking up to that. I'm glad for that. But there's a stimulus circus going on in the politics. Politics is a matrix, straight up. People actually get caught up in playing sides when there is no sides. It's all this. It's all a show, pretty much, scripted and shit. And people's emotions get caught up in that shit, and they don't realize they're in that matrix. For example, the stimulus check that was going on, the whole stimulus, I guess you can call it drama. That shit's crazy. People actually blaming each other. The Democrats blaming the Republicans, Republicans blaming the Democrats, but it's all the same shit. For example, first people were saying it's Nancy Pelosi's fault the checks weren't being passed. And so Trump said $2,000 checks. And then I just listened to Mitch McConnell today, and he's saying that not everybody should get $2,000, and that there's people that are getting the checks that don't need them. And he's holding up the bill just because of that. Yet, many of these people in Congress, they're making way more money than they should be actually getting paid. And they're actually dragging out important decisions for people, and they're causing a lot of people to suffer. And many of these people, yeah, I know I went on a kind of a side rant, but many people are caught up trying to blame each other, and they're not looking at people. They're not looking at the bigger picture. And you could see that from what's going on, that it's all a circus show. And we're just working and paying taxes, and we don't know where our money is actually going. And nobody's talking about this stuff, you know. Some people are talking about it, but not everybody. Many people are distracted by other things going on in the world. I think it's really important to pay attention about what's going on, because next thing you know, you're under control. You don't have a choice to get out of the trap that you fell into. But yeah, it's pretty sad. So one example in that movie, The Matrix, is that can relate to this is there's a part where Neo, he sees a lady in a red dress, and then Morpheus tells him, uh, he shows him pretty much how the lady in the red dress wasn't really what she really seen. When he looks back again, it turns out to be one of the agents and who's trying to kill Neo. And that relates to real life, because we're getting fooled by what we see. And it's sad to see many people, they're falling into that trap. They're not realizing it. They're falling to the lies being spread out. And the problem is they're constantly listening to news and listen to people, and that message constantly gets bombarded into their head, and it becomes reality. So yeah, guys, that's my video on the Matrix. I hope y'all wake up. Not y'all, but if you're watching this, you're probably pretty aware. But I'm hoping many people start to realize what's going on, and things take for a better turn, because it's pretty sad about what's going on. And I see many people falling into the traps today, so I decided to make a video on it. But anyways, you guys, take it easy, have a good one, and stay out of the matrix. Peace.